Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of WNBL ITV. Darren Boyd here once again alongside my regular sparring partner these days, Laurie Chiswick. Laurie, welcome back, and it was an interesting round 3 of WNBL action.
As always, Darren, again we look at those home and away teams, and it was interesting this week.
Yeah, normal service was resumed with 6 out of the 7 home sides getting the victories in round 3. We'll have the reviews of all those matches coming up. We'll also have some previews of what's coming up in round 4. We're going to have a chat to Melissa Marsh of the West Coast Waves ahead of her 200th game in the WNBL. And of course, as we do every week, we'll be joining Catherine Murphy at the news desk for a wrap of what's been happening around the league. But Laurie, what a week it's been for one Elizabeth Cambage.
Oh my goodness, Darren, would I love to be in her shoes?
I tell you, there was a movie When Harry Met Sally. What about When Lizzie Met Lizzie? Do you reckon they'll make a movie about this? Some sensational images from Canberra during the week, where Liz was privileged to be invited along with a range of other elite Australian sports people, sportsmen and women, as well as people from other walks of life. And I just love that photo. Aren't
they great photos, Darren? I love the first one where all 3 of those women were just smiling and looking genuinely like they were enjoying themselves.
Yeah, a fantastic honour for Liz, and good on her. You know, she's obviously the face of Australian basketball at the moment and will be, I think, for a long time in the future. But we might have to have a competition on WNBL ITV, Laurie, where we have a nearest the pin as to, from these photos, from those ones we're about to, that one we just saw and the ones we're about to see, who's taller, Elizabeth Cambage or George Columbaris? So not Elizabeth Cambage, Queen Elizabeth II, I should say, or George Columbaris. What do you think about this with Lizzie and George, the master chef, at training during the week?
Again, he must just love that attention and have Liz, you know, just towering over him. How funny is that?
Have a look at him. He's absolutely beaming, and it's fantastic to see. And of course, Liz has been tweeting. She said about meeting the Queen that she was very queenie, which I thought was a sensational description, whatever that happens to mean. But of course, if you've been following the WNBL on Twitter, some of the players or even the league, you will have seen some of this. Make sure you do get onto Twitter. At WNBL is our Twitter handle. We've also got our Facebook page, and there are so many WNBL players who are out there tweeting away. And Laurie, I think there's been some big news during the week.
Well, I know, Darren, usually we have to cross to Catherine to break the big news stories, but I would like to officially announce that I have actually joined Twitter. So I'm not sure now if that makes me a tweeter or what that does, but now everybody can send me those questions and I'd love to have them to answer.
I'm fairly sure it makes you a twit, Loz, but that's okay. I'm sure. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It's all in good fun. And we'll make sure we get the Friday follows onto you as well and all that sort of stuff, Laurie. Now, we're going to look back at what's happened in round 3. We're going to start, of course, as we do every week, with our ABC TV game of the week. And it was in Sydney, and the Sydney University Flames ran out 15-point victors over the Logan Thunder. But in the end, Laurie, I think the final margin flattered Logan because they were gone. The contest was over at half-time when they trailed by 23.
Well, no wonder it was over, Darren. That incredible shooting percentage by Sydney Uni Flames. It didn't seem to matter what Logan threw at them. They were just nailing it left, right and centre from that 3-point line. It
was extraordinary. Belinda Snell had 3 3-point shots in the first half. Alicia Poto had 4. They did not miss. They shot an incredible 74% from the field as well in the first half. And it's one of those games that everything just went perfectly for them, and you can see how much it meant to Alicia Poto and the team. But what I found interesting about it was that Karen Dalton, when they were 20, 30 points up, she didn't really go to her bench. 4 of her starters all played over 30 minutes, I should say, and I guess she's still searching for the continuity and to build the stability in that Flames lineup.
Well, what I noticed about that, Darren, and I'm sure she is trying to build on that, is that because they were shooting so well, incredibly well from that 3-point line, it really stretched that defense. Once you stretch that defense, that certainly made it easy for the likes of Amy Denson and Eva Apiaki to be able to create in the paint and just go to work. So, you know, it was a wide spread of scores. As Karen Dalton said, they made the extra pass, and that was really good.
Yeah, so Sydney continue their perfect start to the season, 4 wins and no losses so far. Up in Townsville on Friday night, the Townsville Fire got their 2nd victory in as many weeks over the Canberra Capitals. A 17-7 second quarter set up their victory. They were just able to lock down on the Capitals and get the job done. It was a particularly impressive performance from the Townsville Fire because they have found it really difficult over the years to beat Canberra. The other game on Friday night saw the saw the Adelaide Lightning comfortably defeat the AIS by 50. And interesting, Laurie, I suppose, the Adelaide Lightning, an interesting couple of weeks. They played the AIS last week. They've got to play them again next week. You're never sure whether that's a good or a bad thing.
Well, I guess it's, I'm sure they would have had their mind on the game the next day against Canberra, but you know what, we still have to respect the Institute. They lost some players, but they will continue to get better as the season progresses. And
the Bendigo Spirit were pretty comfortable victors once again over the West Coast Waves. They had a 39-point victory in that one. A tough road weekend for the Waves. They didn't arrive to Bendigo until about 2:30 in the morning on Saturday. On Saturday morning, they played Saturday night. Then they had to play the Bulleen Boomers on Sunday. We'll have that result and the details coming up in a moment. But it was good for Bernie Harrower to be able to rest some of his main stars and get Deanna Smith and also Chelsea Aubry into some form.
Well, Darren, Bernie Harrower has made no secret of the fact now he expects his team to be challenging for a WNBL championship. In fact, if I can quote him, he says, "We like to pride ourselves now on being one of the top sides in the competition, and our aim is to finish in the top 2. No longer do they have that underdog tag.
No, they're certainly put a target sign on their back is what they've done, and fair enough too. We know that they have an extremely talented lineup. We turn our attention to what happened on Sunday, and the Dandenong Rangers ended the weekend for the AIS. Again, a difficult weekend for them. Pretty comfortable victory to the Rangers, but the AIS actually led by 2 points at quarter time, 16-14. But then the Rangers' superior talent won out in the end, and Jenna O'Hay led the way with 20 points, and Kathleen McLeod followed it up with 12 points and 8 assists as she celebrated her 25th birthday. A pretty impressive performance for her. The Logan Thunder actually then hosted the Canberra Capitals, and after a really disappointing result in Sydney on the Friday night, it was tough for them to back up for this one, and particularly against a hungry Canberra side, and they weren't quite good enough.
Well, that's very true, Darren, and you know, we talk about the road trips in Canberra having to play that second game, and I'd like to share a little story with you right now about the Canberra. It's come out of their club, and you know, in the morning when you go for breakfast, well, they were at their hotel, and this was actually in the Melbourne road trip, and you fill out that form to what you want to eat, and at the bottom of the form was what newspaper you'd request. So there was the Herald Sun, the Age, the Australian, and Jess Bibby and Michaela Dompkins, who were a roommate, were looking at the form, and Jess Bibby goes, "Oh, actually, I like the Herald Sun to read in the morning," and Michaela Dompkins goes, "Oh, I actually thought that was the nationality they were asking, so I ticked the Australian." So the girls were having a really good chuckle about that when Mariana Tolo and Molly Lewis come down. They've got the same form, and Tolo goes, "Hey guys, look at this. Look how Molly's filled this out." And there, next to the Age, Molly had put number 22. So I tell you what, basketball IQ is a great thing. Those girls will not live that down for the rest of the season.
Particularly now that you've just told everybody who watches WNBL ITV, so much for what happens on the road stays on the road as well, Laurie.
Oh, well, Darren, I know that's true, but I tell you what, we've got our spies out there trying to come up with those little stories.
Yeah, and that's a message to all the players out there. If you've got a teammate that you want to embarrass, Laurie Chiswick is very happy to do it on your behalf. Rounding out the weekend, the final game was at the Veneto Club, where on a special day for the Veneto Club, they had a luncheon to celebrate the retiring players from last year. Desi Glorbitz, Sharon Milner, Anna Crosswhite, Kylie Reid, and also Shelley Burston. And the home side were pretty comfortable victors, 104-79 over the West Coast Waves. Laurie, not a lot of D-play in this one.
Well, I'm really surprised for a Tom Maher coach team to allow West Coast to score 79 points after playing less than 24 hours. And right now they're averaging 80 points against them, so not something that they would be really pleased about. Yeah, Rahani Cox and Melissa Marsh starred for the Waves, but not quite enough to defeat Liz Cambage, Rachel Jarry and the Boomers. All right, let's have a look at the ladder as it stands at the end of round 3, and we've got still 2 undefeated teams up there on top, Laurie. The Flames and the Fire. Gee, they're burning, aren't they, up top? Well, Darren, if we could extend that ladder out and you'd actually see point for and against, incredibly, Sydney and Townsville have both the same number scored against them and the same number of points scored for them. So, you know, if that continues on, when they play each other in a couple of rounds' time, that will be an absolute blockbuster. Yeah, it will be a thriller, and we're looking forward to that one. One player is looking forward to this coming weekend is Melissa Marsh. The West Coast Waves captain celebrates her 200th game coming out this Sunday afternoon against the Dandenong Rangers. And during the week I caught up with Melissa and I congratulated her about her milestone.
Melissa, 200 games coming up. It's a big milestone. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's come up pretty quickly actually. It's 200 games. I remember when I first started in the WNBL, witnessing other players play this 200th, and I think, gosh, I'm here. I've been around for a while now.
Well, you have, but you're still so young. I mean, you started at 16. This is your 11th year in the competition. What are some of the greatest memories you've had over that time?
Look, my greatest memory, I think I've got two, and it was when I was playing for Adelaide, and we were playing the semi-final against Canberra with Lauren Jackson and Alana Beard, and we had the likes of Laura Summerton, Jenny Screen, Erin Phillips, and we went down in overtime or double overtime, and that was just great to be a part of so many fantastic athletes. And obviously last year, one of the best games I've ever played in was against Adelaide, in Adelaide, last game of the season, and we went into double overtime and ended up winning. So yeah, I think over the whole career, they're definitely two that really stick out.
Well, you've played with a lot of great players and against some as well. You've obviously just mentioned a couple of them. Who stand out for you?
The best person I played with is Tully Bevilacqua, without a doubt. She taught me so much last year, and she's just a fantastic person, a leader, a natural leader. Didn't say too much, but just said the right amount when needed, and I really enjoyed my season with her last year. It's a shame we couldn't get her back again, but she's pretty settled in America now. And I also, when I was younger, had Mel McClure. She was a great person to learn from, and she was a tough player, a tough person, and I definitely learnt a lot from her as well.
And what about away from the court? Obviously, you're from a very famous family, and your brothers are both playing cricket for Australia now. How big an influence has that been on you, good and bad, perhaps?
Yeah, it's great. I don't know any different, and we've played sport at a high level, since we can remember. My older brother Sean was making, Australian teams at 15, and Mitch is that bit younger than us, but it hasn't had a negative influence. It's been fantastic, and we're a very close family and support each other no matter what, no matter how big or little the milestone is, and it's great family. Now
I see you and Mitch have been tweeting each other a little bit lately. How are you enjoying your foray into the world of Twitter?
I can't say I'm enjoying it too much, but I thought everyone else is on there, so I may as well have a go, and yeah, we're getting there.
What about away from the court? What keeps you sane? What do you do for fun when you get away from the court?
Well, work, really. I've got a great job in public relations for one of Perth's top orthopaedic surgeons, Ian Skinner. He's got 3 or 4 different companies, sports medicine and GP, so I'm lucky I've got a really supportive working environment. I'm writing blogging for Perth Now at the moment, and I'm also doing some radio work on a Monday morning. So, life's busy, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm, in a really good spot in my life at the moment.
And the PR training coming through beautifully. You've got all those plugs in superbly. Congratulations on the milestone. We look forward to enjoying the rest of your career, however long that may last.
Thanks very much.
Yes, congratulations to Melissa Marsh. If she plays every game this year, she'll end up at the end of this season in about the top 50 in terms of all-time games played in the WNBL, with which I think a lot more to go in her career. Congratulations to her. All right, well, there's been plenty of other news around the WNBL this week, so now it's time to cross to Catherine Murphy at the news desk.
Thank you for that, guys. Well, Lauren Jackson was the star attraction in Albury this week. The City Council decided to rename their sports centre after the basketball hero. She returned home and was greeted by over 1,000 fans, and she arrived in style, getting out of a black convertible Mercedes. So greeted by friends and family, Jackson said she was humbled by the honour, and afterwards she spoke about her future and her wish to finish her career in Canberra.
Once I retire internationally, that doesn't mean I'm retiring here. I think that I've played my entire career in the WNBL in Canberra, and they've been, I've only ever said that if Albury had a WNBL team, I would move back here to play, but I wouldn't leave Canberra. It's just, I want to finish my career out playing with the Capitals because of what they did for me as a junior, coming through the ranks. Carrie Graff, amazing coach, and one of my good friends, and that community in Canberra also has been so supportive and really embraced me, and that's something that, again, I would never ever let slide. I wouldn't ever jeopardise that.
That is great news indeed for Canberra Capitals. Meanwhile, Olympian Belinda Snell has been named Player of the Week after she guided Sydney Uni to their 4th consecutive win. She was also named MVP, and she spoke to the ABC after the game.
The shooting from your whole team tonight was absolutely amazing. 3-point line, 71%, just incredible.
Was that for the whole game? I know the first half we shot very well. Yeah, I'm not sure whether 71 for the whole game. Oh, that was a nice effort by the girls. We've been doing a lot of shooting yesterday and all the week, so just really recovery from the road trip last week.
And your own effort was amazing. We were disappointed that you missed your last three because you were 100% from the 3-point line at that point. So we're very disappointed with that, Belinda. But look, we could see that you love playing on this court. You were in the rhythm tonight, and we love watching you play offense. You must have felt good.
Yeah, it's great to be back here at Sydney University, and yeah, I'm just having fun playing basketball again and being out there.
Congratulations to her. Well, there's not such good news at the Logan Thunder. Last year's WNBL Rookie of the Year, Gretel Tippett, has been ruled out with glandular fever. The club are unsure as to when she will return. But some better news at the Canberra Capitals. And long-time assistant coach Sandy Tomley has given birth to a baby boy, Cale Gregory. Congratulations to her, and back to you guys.
Yes, thank you very much, Catherine, and of course, great congratulations to Sandy Tomley and her new family. It's wonderful news. And for those of you who just saw the Lauren Jackson interview, the full content of that interview can actually be seen on ABC News 24 this Friday on the Contact Sports show hosted by Paul Kennedy, so make sure you tune into that. All right, time to turn our attention to what's coming up in round 4 of the Women's National Basketball League. And Laurie, we start on Friday night with the AIS hosting the Adelaide Lightning for the second week in a row. As we mentioned before, these sides are clashing.
Well, Darren, this is the first time that Adelaide actually has on the road. They've had their first couple of games have been at home, so they'll be thinking about that second game against Canberra. But yeah. I think you know, who's going to stop Susie Bakovic? Leading scorer, leading rebounder. We say it week in and week out, but really she's in fantastic form.
Yeah, and she's pretty hard to stop for any team, let alone the AIS with their relative inexperience. The Queensland Derby is on, and this will be a seriously competitive match, Laurie. The Logan Thunder will be desperate to atone for their poor performances last weekend. They're sitting at 2-2. The Fire, of course, are undefeated at the moment and playing sensational basketball. Well,
don't you love the derbies? This is the Queensland Derby, and they will be both really fired up for this game. Different contrasting styles. I think that Townsville probably play a little bit more of a running game than Logan does, but as you mentioned, both teams are going to be desperate for that win. Yeah, we saw Logan obviously last week, and we're looking forward to seeing Townsville in a couple of weeks' time, and particularly their new import, Shanavia Dowdle, who's just taking the league by storm as part of a restocked and an impressive Townsville roster this year. They go pretty deep, don't they, Darren, this year? I think that with the addition of the import, Dowdle, that certainly they've got that depth, and that certainly is helping in their rotations. Well, our game of the week is going to be a ripper. The Bulleen Boomers venturing to the Dandenong Basketball Stadium for the Victorian Derby. The Rangers and the Boomers. Laurie, there are just matchups galore in this one. Well, there is. I know we talk about the point guards, but we've got Kath McLeod and Sammy Richards. I think maybe Jenna O'Hay and Rachel Jerry will match up against each other. And again, that Melbourne Derby. They want to get the bragging rights in Melbourne. Who's going to win this weekend? Well, the Boomers, they swept the contest last year on their way to the championship. They won their 3 games against the Rangers by an average of 16 points. But where do you think this one will be won and lost? Well, I think, you know, if Lizzie can get into gear, again, Dandenong don't have huge height. They've done really well to maintain what they've got, but really the height, they could have that height advantage, and if they can get the ball into her successfully, not sure what'll happen. Yeah, well, another really important game is happening in Canberra on Saturday. The Canberra Capitals hosting the Adelaide Lightning, and I suppose that the big question coming into this one, Laurie, is are the Capitals back? Well, I know they all breathed just an immense sigh of relief after that win in Logan, and they'll certainly feel more confident after getting that win. You just do that, you know, when you have that losing streak, and once you're in that winner's circle, they're going to take a lot of confidence out of that, and it'll be interesting to see Adelaide. Have they really been tested yet? No. I mean, they had that one game against the Sydney Uni Flames, which we covered, where they were tested and they lost the game. They looked like they were a side that lacked chemistry. A couple of weeks on, they'll no doubt have improved that a little bit more. But once again, the focus is going to be on Bakovic and what can Mariana Tylo and her teammates do to combat her. And again, Kerry Graff has coached both Bakovic and Abby Bishop extensively, so she's going to know their strengths and weaknesses and be able to counter that. But it should be a really entertaining match, Darren.
It should be. And another game in what shapes as a pivotal round, even though it's so early in the season, is happening in Sydney. And the Sydney Uni Flames are hosting the Bendigo Spirit. The Flames, as we said before, are undefeated, and the Spirit have their sights set on a top 2 spot. Laurie.
Darren, how could I not appear close to Halloween without my famous spider headband? And I'm doing it because the Sydney Uni Flames are really going all out and promoting this game. They want all the fans to come to their venue at the Sydney Uni and make it, as they said, a cauldron for the Bendigo Spirit. So they're asking all their fans to come dress in Halloween gear and just have a lot of fun. So I'm just joining in.
Yeah, of course you are, and I think it's to be commended. Laurie, of course, asked me to wear one of those, and I felt like I looked silly enough as it was without actually popping one on. All right, that one will be really fascinating. Get down there if you are in Sydney to have a look at it. As we said a little bit earlier, Melissa Marsh's 200th game happening on Sunday afternoon. The Waves are hosting the Dandenong Rangers. Tough weekend for the Rangers. They've got a front up against Bulleen on Friday night, then make the long trip to Perth. They might be on the hop a little bit. The Waves are a bit of a chance, I think.
Well, they certainly will be tested, having a home game, then travelling, and travelling to Perth, I might add, all that way. And being Melissa Marsh's 200th game, I think the crowd, I think the teammates, the coaches, everybody will be really inspired by what she has achieved. And, you know, I reckon it could be a very good test for Dandenong.
Yeah, and I hope Rahani Cox brings back the form that she had last week in Bulleen, where she had 28 points. It was a sensational shooting display. All right, well, that's just about all we've got time for on WNBL ITV, Laurie.
Goes quick, doesn't it,
Darren?
Darren?
It absolutely flies. But of course, it would be remiss of us not to mention all of our social media and all of the ways that you can get in contact with us so that we can make this show your show and it is interactive as possible. And you can interact with not just us, but also the WNBL as a whole. Of course, the details are there. Follow us on Facebook and also on Twitter. At WNBL, of course, is the Twitter handle. If you've got a smartphone, make sure you download the WNBL's mobile website, m.wnbl.com.au, and as well you should be checking out the WNBL website regularly for all the news and everything that's happening right around the league. And well, follow Laurie on Twitter as well.
I'm looking forward to that, Darren. I just hope desperately I get a question this week so that I can say I got this on Twitter.
Well, I'll look forward to it. And if not, I might create an account just to send you one from me. I'm your biggest fan, without a shadow of a doubt. All right, we trust you've enjoyed the show here. WNBL ITV is done for another week. Wherever you've been watching us, right around Australia or the globe, please enjoy the WNBL this week, and we'll be with you again next week.